Hi, and welcome back to Journey to Union. So, I want to talk about where we are going in terms of this ascension process. So, this is very important because we are ascending out of the third dimensional matrix or, paradigm. We are going back to the 5D and above. So this is what's happening on the planet. The planet is ascending into the next level. So not all the planet is ascending. There are going to be descension. There is descension going on the planet. Some of the planet is going to go into black fall status. And this is what's happening because we are in an ascension cycle. So we are in an ascension cycle and we're going back to the Edens, the 5D and above. So basically the Garden of Eden, or this concept of Garden of Eden, was actually the way that the human was, like the divine design of the human and how we were originally created, which was the 12-strand DNA. We were superhuman. We had all our active strands. So the 12th strand is the human. So we are in an ascension cycle. This is so important to understand. This is why we are doing all of this. This is why twin flames are here. This is why, there is a lot happening on the planet and there's a lot going on the planet. And because we are shifting into the new age, into actually splitting off from the lower paradigm. So this is what ascension is. We are, on a different path. We are on a crystal path. We're going back to the original DNA, and that is what's going on. So this is what twin flames are here. This is why we are doing all of this work. This is the process. Okay, so most of humanity, a lot of people are ascending, a lot of people are not ascending. So it doesn't matter where you are. However, we are in an ascension cycle. This is what it is. It really started in 2012 and we are being pushed forward, and now it's the gates are basically open to ascend, and the ascension happens through the body, through the light body. That's what we're ascending. So we have to ascend our body. That's the process. So we are going back to the Garden of Eden. This is what is known in the Bible, and this is what is happening. This is what ascension is. We are ascending into the next dimension. And so, like I said, there's going to be descension happening. There's going to be ascension happening. So the twin soul, the twin flame is here. This is why you met. You are divine partners. You're ascension partners. Your process is to move into the new dimension, going back to the Eden. And, even when you are together with your twin, you can access the Garden of Eden. You can access those higher dimensions through the sexual communion that you have with your twins. So you can actually go back to the Edens. This is how it works. So personally, I have experienced this, and so this is something that is a true phenomenon because when you are in such a high vibration together, you expand. You actually can go into the next dimension. So your consciousness can actually go into the next dimension, and you may feel like you've left your body for a bit. That's actually what happens. So and that's my personal experience. So anyway, we are going back, like if you are on the ascension path, if you're on the twin soul path, you are on the ascension path, you are going back to the original blueprint, your original blueprint, before your soul fragmented, before we had fragmentations. We are going back, and you have a divine mate. That's how you were designed. You have a polarity opposite to you. So that is your twin. That is your twin flame. And so we're going back now, and this is why we're going through the ascension. This is why we're coming out of separation, and we're merging everything back together. We are re-encrypting. We are done with the, false status of the planet. And some of us have participated in the fall in other lifetimes, and some of us have that karma to clear. Everyone is different on a DNA level because everyone has different DNA. Some of us have higher strand DNA, some of us have the 12 strand that we're activating. Everyone has actually different DNA depending on where you're from. You could have just the normal human DNA, the 12 strand. Some of us have higher strands. So it really depends on your blueprint and what you're activating, what your DNA is holding for you. Your twin has the exact same match, so the exact same copy of your DNA. And obviously your DNA doesn't actually match because the karmic imprints. So you guys the generational line is different, but the soul DNA and what you're activating is the same. You have the same template. That's why it's called a genetic equal. You have the same template. The polarity of that is different. So the polarity is your opposite polarity self to your actual blueprint. So the templates are the same. So that is what the twin soul is. And this is all of this is happening now and has been happening. There is an acceleration happening for this process to move forward, and has been, very much fast. This has been fast forwarded, especially now, the times that we're in, because we are receiving very high frequency from the sun. According to some metaphysical, some teachers, some spiritual teachers, let's just say, the way that they have studied the sun and what their conclusion is that the sun is coming to the end of its cycle. So it's actually releasing a lot of CMEs, and that is what's going on with the sun. So the sun is playing a role right now in activating our dormant DNA. That's why we're receiving a lot of CMEs, and that is another part of the ascension. We are receiving a lot of light, and so that is what's happening, and that's another way that we are healing and activating, because the light that's coming in on the planet is actually clearing our vessel and clearing our blueprint and healing all of these traumas and blocks. So the sun is helping us in this process as well, because the sun is an activator, and that's what the sun is doing. So you may have felt a lot of different ascension symptoms over the last few years, specifically because the sun is getting more intense, and next year 2024 is when it's going to be the peak. It's going to be very intense in terms of the CMEs, plasma light that's coming in on the planet. It's a very high radiation, and so it's either going to impact you in a negative way or it's going to upgrade you. Okay, so the sun is activating a lot of things that were dormant on the planet. So a lot of things that were dormant, like bacteria and all of these things, the sun is actually activating that. So that's why we are in this. This is what the ascension cycle is. The ascension cycle is it's to do with, the planets and the cycle that we've been in on the planet, and what's coming to an end, what's, evolving. So it's all interconnected, and what we're doing here is all related. So you may be here on this mission, to reunite your soul and to come back from the fragmented state that you've been in for a long time. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to come back to that unity consciousness, to reconnect back with source, because we have been separated from source for a very long time. When we fell from the Garden of Eden, we have been fragmented, our consciousness has been fragmented, and we have been reincarnating, and now it is time to go back home. So we are going back home. That's what the whole process is. That's what Ascension is. That's what you're doing here. That's what the twin soul is. The twin soul is your home. The twin soul is your other half, your other polarity self. We are not fragmented in terms of, like, if we don't have our twin soul, we're not half of a soul. We are full as we are, but we do have a divine mate that was divinely created for us. So that mate is, our other polarity self. So in this process, we are really shifting from the old paradigm, the third dimensional consciousness, to embody a higher consciousness, which is 5D and above. Okay, so we're moving into the 5D and above. This is what the process is here. So the twin is the level, which is 7, 8, 9. So the twin flame is actually coming in at the level of 7, 8, and 9. And so this is how it's working. So you're here, if you are ascending, you are going to see, or you're going to feel, obviously, that you are ascending, and that there are physical symptoms that are happening in your body. And if you're not feeling like this physical symptoms happening, you're going through major purging, you're being activated on so many different levels, CMEs are affecting you, then I would question whether you are ascending, whether you are on the twin soul path. Because if you are on the twin soul path, the true twin soul path, you're going to be seeing physical changes in your body. So if you're not seeing physical changes in your body, if you're not going through this process, then I would question if you actually are on the twin soul path. And so but this is the way that it's happening. So it's a very high vibration that you are feeling in your body. Like, it's a very high frequency when you are going through this process. So it's very high, very bright. A lot of, when I think of the color spectrum of this vibration, it's a very high energy that's activated in your body. The spectrum of colors is very high, very, very vibrant. So the ascension process, the twin flame is the ascension process, and the end goal is to reunite back and come out of separation, come back into your heart and above. And really, this is the unity point. This is when you come back to alignment with source. This is the divine DNA that you're reactivating, the Christic DNA. So this is the process. And so I do have another video on the mechanics and ascension process through what we're going through right now. So this is really important. So if you haven't watched that, you can go and watch that. That will give you more insights as to what's going on in terms of the mechanics, the ascension mechanics on this process. If you are early on in the journey, if you just started your journey, we are accelerating faster. So a lot of the older generations, or 10 years ago, is very hard to come into that union because we didn't have that support, and we didn't have the divine support. So we didn't have the energy, first of all, here on the planet. We have a lot of interference with this process, so just want to mention that. So there is a spiritual war happening right now and has been happening on the planet. So the thing that they don't want the unity, that is what they're trying to prevent. So the twin flames represents unity, and that is what they're trying to prevent. And there's different mechanics that they're using to prevent this union from actually happening within every individual person, because ascension means merging of the particle and antiparticle, the feminine and masculine within you. That's ascension, and you have to merge back into unity, because these two polarities have not been merged or have not been working together in harmonious union on the planet. So we are going back into actually merging these two polarities within us, and that's what creates unity, and that's what creates inner union, and that's what manifests external union. So the polarities have been opposing on the planet. They have not been working together. So what we're doing is we're actually unifying the inner polarities. That's what the work here is all about. Part of the work is about unifying these two polarities to come into harmonious inner union within every single person. And this is what the twin flame journey is about. The twin flame journey is really about polarity work. And so you have to merge these two inner polarities to come into unity, which is unity consciousness, which is the merging, which is the alchemical marriage in the heart. Okay, so at the beginning of the journey, when you're going into this process, you're still going to be in the lower states of identity, which is nothing wrong with that, but you are starting at that level. I was there for a long time. I was in ego for a long time. Everything was triggering me. Every video was triggering me. Everything. I was just very angry. So I understand when you're early on in the journey, and that it can all be very triggering to you. It can all be because your ego is triggered so much on this journey. And I understand where everyone is at, because we go through those phases. But eventually you do have to go through the ego death. And for me personally, that was a very hard process, because I had to let go of so much ego. My personality matrix, like I had to really let go of that, because I was a completely different person to what I am now. So because I've embodied more of my higher self, my soul, my monad. So, but it is a process of shedding that old ego, and there is nothing wrong with the ego or the lower levels of identity. There's nothing wrong with any of it. There is no judgment, because Source doesn't judge anything. He doesn't. It's neutral. It's a very neutral energy with Source. There's neutrality. So there is no judgment. It's just that that's the way it's been for a long time, and we are going up. So we are leaving that old identity that we were at the personality level. And it doesn't mean you're leaving your personality. You still have a soul personality, a higher personality, a more embodied personality with your higher self and your oversoul. So it's a very expansive personality, and the ego is not leading your life, or the ego is not, you're not functioning anymore from that lower self. So that's another video I can create, but you're not in that ego state anymore. You're in your higher self. You've embodied your higher self. You've embodied your soul matrix. So that's a higher level of identity. And there is no right or wrong when I say higher or lower. It's just the way that to explain it and where we're moving into and what we're leaving behind. So we are shedding and dissolving a lot of the ego on this journey, which is ego death, which is the most painful part, because you are leaving so much of your old identity behind, and you can be very confused on this journey. You can be very much like having an identity crisis, because you don't know who you are anymore, because you're losing so much of that personality that you've built up to do with your ego programming. So if you have a lot of ego still, then a lot of this stuff will trigger you if you're early on in the journey. And I totally understand it. I hold compassion for that, because I was there and I was in a lot of ego still. And so that had to be shed over the course of this process, and I definitely don't feel it's an easy process at all. It's very hard to dissolve those 3 stations of identity, those lower stations of your ego, and come into the heart, come into embodying your soul. But you will feel so much more at peace, so much more surrendered, so much more calm, and you're not living from the lower stations of identity, which is all to do with the primal, the lower 3 chakras is very much to do with the primal senses. And so you're not living anymore from fear, you're not living from those lower emotions anymore. You're shedding that. So you're shedding all of this primal, these primal urges, and just being in survival consciousness. That's where we were for a long time. You're embodying a higher consciousness, and your reality reflects that. So you're not embodying and living anymore from your lower 3 chakras. You are embodying higher. And so this is the process. It's very much shedding that lower level and lower stations of identity, which we've been stuck in for so long on this planet, and we were not able to actually ascend because we were trapped in the lower 3 stations of our identity. And the divine design actually was supposed to be that we were supposed to ascend through as we get older. We were supposed to actually ascend into the next octave, and we were not able to do that because of all these alien implants and all of these things that the negative party has infiltrated on the planet. So we were not able to do any of this ascension. Ascension was supposed to be part of our life. Like, it was supposed to be very natural for us to ascend and go into the next level. That's how you evolve your consciousness, and that's how you evolve as, a soul. But we were not able to do that. We were just stuck in just the same old patterns for so long, in the karmic patterns, and repeating all of that for so long. So now we are actually going back to the way that we were intended to be, which is we're going back to the 5D, the Eden state, and higher. So we're going back to that place. And when I look at, the 5D, or this new reality that we're going into, the new earth, you may have heard of the new earth. And I mean, there's so many spiritual teachers that talk about it. And it's all part of what's going on right now. There's a reason why we are on this journey. There's a reason why you're going through this process. It's not just you're going through this process for no reason. There is a bigger process happening in general in the universe here. So you have to understand that this is all part of the process of you coming back to union within yourself, to end the separation that has been happening for so long, and come back into the unity point, which is in the heart. So this is what the process is, and that's where we're going back to, and that's where we're shifting into. However, right now, like I wanted to mention, because there's a lot to cover, but we are in the process of moving faster towards the ascension is moving very fast, because 10 years ago we didn't have the same support. So we didn't have the same support to move forward in ascension. Now we have a lot of support, and this is fast forwarding everything. The CMEs that are coming in are fast forwarding everything. Everything is done very quickly. Now everything's accelerating. And when you're going through this process, you're not in time anymore. You're not actually bound to time. When you move into the higher dimensions, you're actually reversing time, and you're actually going into no time. So there isn't actually time anymore. Like, there is no time, because you're going into the higher realms. The higher realms don't have time, and we're reversing all the damage to the DNA. So you're not actually aging anymore. You're reverse aging. You're not going into the you're not mortal anymore. So you're becoming immortal through this process. So when you think of actually running out of time or not having enough time, that's not true, because you're not actually bound to time anymore when you're going through this process. Like when you start to live more when you start to activate more 5D, you're not going to be living from time. Time is not going to matter anymore. You're going to be living more in flow. So you're following your intuitive nudges. You're not living bound to a certain clock or time, because time is linear. Time is 3D. We're not living in a 3D anymore. We're living from the 5D, which is no time. There is no time in 5D or above. So time ends. So there isn't really any kind of time where, we're running out of time or we're getting older, I can't do this process. If you're still thinking that way, you're still stuck in the 3D paradigm and 3D mindset, which is fine. But once you actually start to activate more of your DNA and your consciousness, you're going to step out of time, and you're not going to care about the time anymore. It's not going to be an issue for you anymore. So this is the thing about being stuck in linear time and being stuck in the 3D. We are mortal in the 3D. We're functioning from a carbon-based body. We're going out of that. We're going out of the carbon base and we're coming back into silicate base. We're activating higher DNA. This is all happening when we go through this process. So you're not going to be bound to any time, and time is not going to matter for you anymore when you go into the higher vibration, higher consciousness. So I hope this makes sense, and I hope this has helped you to understand what is happening right now on the planet, where we are shifting, why you're going through this process. And that the destiny is really to come back home. That's your destiny, and you reunite with all your soul parts and then come into the inner union and then the outer union. That is what the path is. If you are on this path, if you're on the ascension path, if you are on the path of the twin soul path, this is your destiny. This is what your soul has signed up, and this is what's going to be supported on your journey. This is what you're here to do. This is the ascension cycle. This is a very important this is the most important cycle ever on the planet. So ever, like, you are here to do this. This is like the biggest thing has ever happened on the planet Earth is happening right now. Like, we're in it. We're playing the role here. We're playing the biggest role right now on the planet. So as in, we're playing the role of really, like, we're here doing this. So everyone has a certain thing that they need to do. This process is all moving forward in divine timing. Divine timing as in this is all happening naturally, and everything is supported for your journey. There are phases, but the way that we're accelerating is on such a level where you will do, all this work in such a short time, and you're shifting very fast. Okay, so we're not going slow anymore like we did, and we were not supported. The energy wasn't here like 10 years ago. We are accelerating super quickly now into coming back into the inner union and to merge back with our soul aspects. So this is what's happening. And it's important for you to understand that this is your path. This is your destiny. You're here to accomplish this. This is what you signed up for. You're here to come back to get all your soul parts back integrated and come back to unity. And everything is happening right now. Okay, so it's all happening as it should, and everyone's going to go through their phases, and there are stages to this. However, the end result is that you're going into higher states of consciousness. We're going back to the 5D and above. We're going to the new earth. You want to call it new earth happens within you. The new earth is what you're activating. The new earth is manifesting from within you. Okay, so that's what it is. So that's where we're going. And so there is no need to worry or think that you're running out of time. You're going into no time. and you're going into a place where you're going back home, okay? This process is leading you back home. You haven't been home for a long time, okay? And you're going back home for this process. So I hope this makes sense. I send you all so much love. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll speak to you in the next video.